Everyone and their mother are talking about this, and I'm sure you're already caught up with the situation, so I'm not gonna bother by covering every little detail and explaining what led up to this point. Just know that a lot of what I'm gonna cover comes from Reddit that the Twitter account at @𝒦𝒊𝒌𝒆 has archived. Please use your common sense and remember a lot of this is alleged. If it cannot be proven without a shadow of a doubt and it hasn't been confirmed by people involved, it should not be taken as facts. Images can be edited. I'm just gonna report on what's being said and put my 2 cents in. Please be respectful of the victims, that being Ned's wife and his children. To me that doesn't mean we can't talk about it, it just means you shouldn't bother her on social media and at her. Respect her privacy please. But to summarize the situation, 𝒦𝒊𝒌𝒆, a former BuzzFeed employee and co-founder of 𝒔𝒖𝒃𝒔𝒄𝒄𝒄𝒄, an online entertainment group and media production company, was caught having an affair with Alexandria Herring, an associate producer, Ned being a very much married man.
My wife. 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 My wife.
And Alexandria was engaged. Emphasis on was because people are saying that her former fiance has unfollowed Alex, and I don't think that's a good sign. 𝒦𝒊𝒌𝒆 lost his job, as we all know by now. As of writing this, it's not clear whether Alex still works for them. That might have changed by the time this goes up. I don't think it's been explicitly stated that Ned was fired, but after rubbing my 2 brain cells together, I think it's fair to say that he didn't really have a choice to stay. Yeah, there's some, not many, but still a few who think it's unfair for him to lose his job over this, and honestly that's a very naive mindset. Not only does it tarnish their brand, but his job is literally to be likable. No one likes a cheater. I don't think anyone could have gone back to normal knowing what we do now. It would have ruined the illusion that they're this cute little friend group, knowing that this guy cheated on his wife, who happens to be a mutual friend of theirs and appear in videos. Not to mention that Alex was a subordinate. That's a huge, massive power imbalance. I've seen quite a few stating it could have caused legal issues, and I'm not confident, but it sounds legit. Something that bothers me is the people I've seen that are insisting that both Alex and Ned get equal treatment. Don't get me wrong, I don't think she's a victim. They're both bad. She cheated on her partner too. She knowingly got with not only a married man, but a father of 2, I think. I have absolutely 0 sympathy for anyone who willingly destroys a family like that, and there should be consequences, of course. If you want to talk about her, go ahead, no one's stopping you. But to expect people to go after her on the same level that they're going after Ned, it's just not reasonable. He's taking the brunt of it because he's well renowned. As someone who never really followed the 𝒔𝒖𝒃𝒆, I still knew who he was. I was blissfully unaware about Alex's existence before the news dropped, and I would conjecture to say that goes for a majority of people who didn't stay up to date but tuned in for the scandal. Just because most of us only really talk about Ned doesn't mean we excuse Alex's involvement, at least I would hope others don't. Like I said, I'm not a fan and I've got no stakes here. I mean, I am a nosy but if it would have been any other of the 𝒔𝒖𝒃𝒆 who cheated on their partner, I would have probably just moved on. As terrible as cheating is, it just happens all the time unfortunately, and I personally have nothing of interest to say about a stranger's affairs, other than that it's awful and it shouldn't happen. But because it was Ned specifically, I and many others were taken by surprise. If you don't know already, he was known as the wife guy.
My wife. 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 My wife.
That's literally all I knew him as. The guy who constantly talked about his wife.
My wife. My wife. My wife. My wife. My wife. My wife. My wife. My wife. My wife. My wife. My wife. My wife. My wife. My wife. My wife. My wife.
I mean, I've seen a few of their videos and he's absolutely constantly talking about her. They're attached at the hip, basically. I could be reading the situation wrong, but if I remember it correctly, it was almost to the point where the others thought it was ridiculous, like,
Do you think you're better than other people because you have a great marriage?
Yeah, he's either doing things too early or talking about his wife, and I'm tired of both of that stuff.
Do you secretly think that Ned and his wife are gonna get divorced someday.
No. Of course he does.
He's lying.
I could have told you that, Zach.
I'm sorry, but if I was one of them and he was like that behind the cameras, I would have absolutely just lost it. I would be tired. Call me the Grinch or whatever, but I don't want to constantly hear about someone's partner all of the time. To a lot of people, they seemed like the ideal couple. Ned worshipped the ground she walked on, and this was yet another reminder that we only see what people want us to see. Even the happiest of couples have struggles, some small and others. Well, just look where we are right now. What I just can't seem to wrap my head around is how he would make being a married father of two his entire personality. Everyone knows who his wife is, everyone knows that he has kids, yet he wasn't really going out of his way to keep his affair a secret. This isn't a one-off thing, this isn't like a one mistake, even though that's what Ned tried to make it seem like in his apology. The first line goes, "Family should have always been my priority, but I lost focus and had a consensual workplace relationship." And I mean, as a man, I get it happens all the time. Don't you just hate it when you lose focus and accidentally make out with your employee at the club Niagara? You know that's not a hypothetical either, because I specified the location. That actually happened.
Allegedly.
Fans are coming forward with their stories of having spotted the two of them on dates in public, some with picture evidence. This over a period of time, which tells us this was like an established thing, you know. Not that a one-night stand would have been excusable, but seeing someone in secret like this isn't just a thing you do in the heat of the moment. It takes planning and commitment, which just make it all the worse. That's not a slip-up, that's an active choice you make. I can't even begin to imagine what was going through his head and why he thought he wouldn't get caught. The only explanation I can come up with is that this is an extreme case of cognitive dissonance or something. I don't know if that's really what it is. They didn't even bother pretending that they were just going out as friends. Did he really think at no point there were gonna be any fans or anyone who could recognize him that would spot Ned, my wife, try guy with this woman that wasn't his wife, and that just makes you wonder if he was even trying to keep it a secret from his colleagues. Again, I want to remind you that none of this is factual. This part specifically is more speculative than anything. We don't know for certain how long this affair has been going on, and if this is Ned's first affair. However, I've seen at least one former BuzzFeed employee state that they weren't surprised by the news in a now deleted tweet. That alone maybe wouldn't count for much, but together with this Redditor's personal experience as anecdotal evidence, it definitely paints a certain picture. Now, you could say that this is someone taking advantage of the situation by coming out with a fake story. Although it's possible that this is made up, it's worth noting, since it was posted 25th of August 2021, over a year ago now. Unless this person is a time traveler, it means they just so happen to make up a story about the specific try guy that would turn out to be unfaithful, which you have to admit is one hell of a coincidence. Or maybe, just maybe, this actually happened. On r/RedScarPod, a deleted user posted a picture of them saying, "Supposedly only one of them is gay." Kinda distasteful, but not the point. User Dennis Rodman Nose Piercing replies, "I met them all at a bar once. The one whose whole shtick is I love my wife and kids was insanely creepy and tried to hook up with my friend. Figures, lol. People then asked if their friend was a man or a woman, considering this was a thread calling them all gay. Actually, a very odd thread overall, but the accuser goes on to say, a girl. Poor girl kept trying to dance and have a good time, but he kept going behind her, trying to kiss her neck and get her to grind on him, lol. She kept moving, but he was pretty persistent. Offered her to go to their hotel and also tried giving us backstage tickets to their show the next day. The whole rest of the night I tried to rack my brain about what the f they do at their shows and who would pay for that shit. Also asked the guy with the glasses if he's always that sloppy, and he reluctantly said yes. Lemao. They later clarified that the guy with the glasses was in reference to Keith, but all of them were there. If their story is to be believed, then it's likely that the others have known about Ned's nature for quite some time, since this would have happened back in 2019. Allegedly. Maybe they didn't know the extent of it, but I personally think it's very likely that they knew that Ned was less than savory, to put it like that. I don't think that once a cheater, always a cheater, necessarily.
I think cheating is so much an outgrowth of what's happening in the relationship that no, if you've cheated before, there's hope.
But I think it's indicative of someone's nature, and someone who's cheated before is more likely to do it again. Do I think he has a tendency of crossing marital boundaries and getting raunchy on the dance floor? Well, let's just hear it straight from the horse's mouth.
If you cheat on someone, you have to keep that burden on you.
Oh.
Like, you have to live with that guilt.
If some cheating is happening, it's probably like indicative of some deeper problems. One time after a comedy show in Chicago, I was out with my friends, Ariel was asleep. We were all dancing in a group, and then I was like dancing with this one girl. Two people get a little closer, and like I told her about it afterwards, like things got a little too close on the dance floor.
Yeah, that's
made
a
me
tricky
uncomfortable.
one.
Oh, poor thing. These temptresses just keeps on throwing themselves at him. Beware, fellas. If you ever lose focus, you might end up with a seductress trying to take advantage of your vulnerable position. As a man, I know just how difficult it is being a victim of your own sexual urges. Stay strong, king. It's difficult times for us all. I'm kidding, but I am inclined to believe people, including the guys, were somewhat in the know about these tendency for longer than most of us would have guessed. As much as I want to condemn them for possibly being complicit, I can't find it in me, since it's definitely not as easy as just cutting him off. They've built up a brand, and Ned's a huge part of that. Unfortunately, friendships are very messy, and as soon as you introduce contracts, you're kinda in for a ride, and your friend getting a little frisky on the dance floor won't change that. We see it all the time with orgs and content houses. This is just another case of that, because we live in a society, guys. We live in a society. Anyways, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, follow me on Twitter. You'll find my commission sheet in my pinned. All the links in the description. See you soon.